What's up guys, Cloudie here, checking in from the America server, and this is gonna be about Trial of the Flow Sekmaha. After Trial of Earth and Trial of Sky, this is the last one for us to do, and to be honest, for me, the most frustrating and annoying one. So at this point, I would like to say thank you to my friend Manny and Mittens, without whom I probably would just have ripped off my face, because this fight is just that RNG and that annoying. Now I want to say in advance that it is entirely possible to do this with lower invested teams. I have seen like a 2-star Xerah clear or something like that. But the hard part is doing it consistently, because yes, you can do that absolutely, but it will take you literally hours to get the proper RNG for the stars to align so that you can actually do enough damage and do the clear. So yeah, keep that in mind, guys. It can be done with low invested teams, but it's gonna be very hard. You cannot mess up, and you need RNG, so it's not just up to you, it needs the boss to actually favor you, and it can be super frustrating. But yeah, let's see what the boss is about. So go to the boss info. Basically, his team with the movement of water, which gives him various buffs and abilities. He has two forms. One is about vertical movement of water, and the other is about horizontal movement of water. And he has two corresponding skills. If he is in the correct stance for that skill, then he will do extra damage to you and like dispel or clear your mana and stuff like that. And if he's in the wrong stance, then he doesn't do those extra stuff and takes more damage. So basically your goal is to always keep him in the wrong stance for the skill that he's about to cast. This is sounding pretty easy so far, but you will see that it's actually not that simple. Now, for this, he has this first skill, of course, on a 12-second cooldown, which will switch between his forms. So this is the flow control, and also dispel all of your positive effects and heal his own HP. These are actually the more annoying parts of it, that he heals and he continuously dispels you, so a lot of your buffs will just be gone. Now let's see one of his skills, the rule of waterfall. Creates a massive droplet above the target, so your entire team, dealing M damage, and then continuous M damage for a short time. If he's in waterfall state, so the corresponding skill, um, vertical movement, sorry, then the skill ignores damage reduction effects, stuns, and pretty much drains all your mana. If he's in the sea state, then he will take increased damage. Now his other skill, Icon of the Sea, this is basically creating a giant wave that will hit you in the face, deals dispelling all of your effects, dealing damage. If he's in the correct state, so sea state, then this will be a knockback and ignore all block effect, and also reduce your attack speed. If he's in the waterfall state, then he will take more damage for the time being. And both of these are on a 20-second cooldown. So basically it will be usually one of these, then a flow change, then one of these, then one of a flow change. Yeah. Now, flow controlling the changing of his forms. If you reduce his CC bar, which is about 12 seconds or so worth, then he will change forms. If he is in his C form, then you cannot heal HP at all, so there is no healing, and increases the enemy the damage that you deal to him. So this is where you want to be most of the time, and the more mana you have, the more damage that you deal. So this is something to keep in mind. But again, you do not heal at all. While in his waterfall state, you receive mana at a greatly reduced rate, so it's very slow, but you take reduced damage as well based on the mana you have. And this is where you can also heal, so this is the form you want to be in when you need to heal. And then his final ability is that you cannot decrease his defense or attack speed, and after stage 6 he will generally create a shield around himself. So these are his abilities. Doesn't sound too complicated at first, I think, but there is a lot of RNG involved, mainly because you absolutely need this C state damage buff that you get in order to be able to beat him. So this one, that when he's in C state you deal more damage. You need to be in this state as much as you can when you do not have a highly invested team, because otherwise you will just not make it on time. But okay, let's just quickly check this team I was running for this. These three are pretty standard, usually either May or a Hartner are the tanks. Love Relay is used to survive one of the skills and to buff your DPS, and then your final one can be your DPS of choice. There are various characters that can do this: Cleo, Aisha, Lorraine. I have seen Veronica, but that was an A2 near 20, I believe. Xerah has her skills adjusted for this content. She is more or less made for this, so she's one of the simplest ones, but you can use other DPS as long as they are invested. Esker, for instance, is pretty easy to do this with. So we'll go over the item or the stats and perks after the run. Let's just get to it, see how the actual run looks like. So see you there. Okay guys, so here we have the run, and we're gonna see right at the start why it's so RNG. He will always start in waterfall form, but if he opens with his droplet skill, then your DPS dies. You can't do anything about it really, so you have to restart. If he ignores your tank's block or crits her like he's doing with my Rehartna, you wipe. And if this first skill is one-shotting your DPS, then you have also wiped. So this is just the beginning. Now here comes the droplet, and Loveril is doing one of her main jobs. She's using S2 to keep Xerah alive. Also, I'm pretty bad at timing this, but you can dodge the damage from the droplet with Loveril dodge skill. The other job of Loveril is actually to use her S1 with the unique treasure to reduce the healing of the boss. This is needed before he's switching his own stances like he's doing now. And your final job with Loveril is to reduce his attack before the wave skill. But later on in the fight this is less needed, it's just there as a buff really. Moving on, May has buffs, heals and CC. Some use her as a tank, but her healing capabilities are a lot stronger than that of Rehartna, so I prefer having her as the healer. She can heal everyone to full. Now Xerah, of course, is kind of built for this. She can pop shields and has burst DPS phases with her darkness, which you want to do now when the boss is doing droplet while he is in wave form. This is when you can do DPS, and if you are lucky he will not switch himself out of it like he's doing now. We get plenty of DPS time. And as you can see, as he is waving his left hand, which is on your right, he's casting wave, and after the switch he will be waving his right hand, which is on your left, and this is the droplet skill. So if you aren't sure about the rotation, this is a tell that you can see, but after a while you will get used to it anyway. And yeah, finally Rehartna herself can use her S1 to dispel the shield if you take the perk, or just to switch stances. Her shield with the UT will give mana to everyone, and mana in this fight is very important. And of course her S3 will help reduce the cooldowns. Like you can see, Loveril is gonna get there just in time, so gets it up on Xerah, and then we can do some DPS. Now this is with a 5-star unique weapon but base soul weapon Xerah, and the DPS is really tight, even though this was a fairly good rotation, but we are at the end of the run. You can see that this was pretty damn close actually, and I had quite a few wipes where I like wiped between 1 and 10%. I literally had a 1% wipe. That's really annoying. So yeah, maybe, well, of course, if you are a better player than me or have better gear than me, then this is easy to do. But other than that, the RNG madness, if you get the good pattern, makes it really frustrating at times, because there is nothing preventing the boss from switching out of your DPS phase right away, and if he does that, then your DPS just plummets. As you can see, with 60 mil DPS, my Xerah can barely do it. And the continuous healing of the boss, if you can't hit that UT1 from Loveril in time, then you will just not make it. So yeah, this has been the run, guys, and in a moment we are switching over to the gears. Okay guys, so let's quickly go through the gears and perks that I have been using. You don't really want to know how much time and nerves this took me, so let's just go through this. So Lavriel, she has a slightly nerfed crit damage here because I'm wearing a M-Block M-Def necklace. She needs to be a little bit more tanky because I'm using her UT1 for the 20% heal reduction, and with this she is pretty squish. Has died on me a few times, so wearing that kind of gear. Other than that, it's a fairly standard setup except for S2 Light, which helps your DPS not to die after the droplet from the dot damage. The rest is just standard buffs, really. Moving on to Mei. She can be built pretty tanky, like has almost 150k MDef and a lot of M block. She can be the tank, but Rehartner works a little bit better. I'm using this one also. This can be dispelled, but the others don't really make sense, so there is that. Her perks are pretty standard. This is important, so your buffs aren't dispelled, and this could be taken over speed maybe, but Xerah is pretty slow, so I like to have speed buffs on my priest. Now Xerah herself, yeah, she is not overly built. She has a +8 A0 soul weapon, but she's 9-star. Even though this she tends to die. Now you could use her unique treasure 1, but the stun effect is really annoying because after like 3 casts you will be switching forms, and that can be kind of annoying. So you can chain cast your S1 even in darkness form. Not too funny. Now I'm using Circuit Burst here to do enough damage. If your DPS is more built, then you can probably skip this. And I like this one because the more mana you have in the C form, the more damage you deal. So with this you can really spam away and not run out of mana. On top of that, I'm using, of course, the 100% non-hero damage and the healing reduction and M damage bonus from her. Also, if you feel really good with timings, this is the skill that a lot of people use to get lower investment clears. Basically, you need to dodge every single wave with this one, otherwise your Xerah will die. But yeah, that's the gist of it. And also Orbs of Contract. This way, after a couple stacks, your DPS will not be dying from stuff anymore. However, with a more built Xerah, this can be a bit dangerous because she will be taking over on the tanking department. So mine doesn't have that much attack yet, has some crit damage, enough crit to be crit capped, and has some penetration, or to be nearly crit capped, really. She should be fine because I also have her tier 5 light. Yeah, so with that she is capped and the priest bonus. But yeah, some penetration because the boss deals or has a lot of armor and cannot be shredded, so penetration is not bad here. Could actually be more. Also, a bit of lifesteal is pretty good because otherwise sometimes you die from the tick of the dot damage. And finally, Rehartner, who is my tank. She has a bit of a mixed gear, really. 180k defense, could be more, but that's what I'm using, or that's what I have. A lot of M block, because if you do not block, you die, and a lot of M toughness, so she can actually survive, even though these stats sometimes she just get killed by the boss, so that's not so fun. I'm using this unique treasure because it provides mana to your allies, and that's pretty nice. So on this boss, having mana is very important, so I'm using this one. And this one because it helps her live and it helps your DPS do more damage. The perks are pretty standard, gains more mana so she can cast. Reduces the cooldown of this skill because that's fairly important to be able to reduce the cooldowns of everyone else. And then the stack increases crit damage, so a little bit of extra crit damage. The other two aren't that important, except maybe this one. If you need the dispel, for instance, if you are running an Esker DPS, then you do not want your S1 to be hitting a shield, so this perk can be useful, but it increases the mana cost, so have to kind of factor that in. And her tier 5 dark increases allies attack and def, so this is also quite useful, and it's irremovable. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this guide and it was helpful to you. If you have any questions, leave them in the comment below. And this has been Cloudie for now. See you in the next one. Bye bye.